Okay, so got through another day, and nothing's really happened per se, but I just feel like sort of the necessity of doing another, sort of like a daily check-in. It's Sunday, the 28th of March, 2021. This is day 161 of Nofap. I noticed like my subscriber, numbers are fluctuating. Went up by a couple, went down by one. I'm not sure what really is going on. But I'm sure that a lot of this has to do with sort of the kind of content I'm able to provide. And, right now it's just sort of like day in the life of vlogs. I kind of with the mindset that, if I were to look like a year and a half in the future and be either out of debt or nearly out of debt, especially if I was out of debt and I had some, savings built up or so, I could probably start sort of expanding into other content. Because honestly, like from what I see, like of the folks I follow on YouTube are able to, provide like, let's just put it this way, entertaining or interesting content beyond like just, like I said, day in the life of vlogs. Even if they're still doing day in the life of vlogs, but it's kind of like they're going to different locations and being like, hey, I'm living this interesting life. Here's where I'm at. Here's what's going on. That sort of deal. It seems like you have to have some certain amount of money, and it might not be like millions of dollars, but so you gotta have some cash to throw out throw out at some, let's say, top of the line, video recording equipment, or to pay for travel expenses, or different things, different expenses that I'm sure are behind the scenes. And of course, if you look at folks who are doing sort of like newscasting and such, I mean, it seems like the bracket of time for like when you could go out there as a citizen journalist, if that's what you wanted to do, which I'm not saying that I would want to do that, but I'm just using it as an example. It seems like that sort of time is gone, and it's more like the age of podcasts and having sort of nice studios set up, and you already have to almost like have a follower base, already built up. And again, I think like, and this does impinge upon politics and culture and all that, but it's almost like it's like the avenue for building that kind of followership is increasingly gone down, sort of like narrowed down. And it's kind of like, also like, use the example of like cryptocurrency where back in, let's say, 2010, 2011, it would probably be, it was definitely way more easy to mine a lot of the cryptos that, folks are so focused in on now that have really like blown up in value. And I mean, nowadays, if you're trying to get into that kind of stuff, it's almost like it's better just to buy and sell, that kind of a deal. But if I were to try to expand, I mean, I would have to sort of sit down and brainstorm as to what I would want, my videos to be about. And I think I would still continue to do some of these day in the life of videos, but at the same time, like, I would want to be doing something more expansive and covering different topics. And like I've said in the past, if I could figure out how to do Camtasia, assuming I could re-download that trial version or even buy the full version and learn how to do screen capture videos. But again, I think I would honestly have to like be able to like leave my room, or be living in a place where I didn't feel like I was being eavesdropped on. I could have that sort of like that isolation or that solitude. Like I said, almost like sitting in a built-up sort of studio room, and I could just sit there and record things, and I could be brainstorming on a whiteboard or a blackboard or whatever, with chalk or with those felt tip pens, and writing the stuff down, like mapping things out, or taking notes on a piece of paper, and then going and just sitting there, even if it was for hours at a time, putting together these videos and then uploading them. But like I said, I feel like that would really become a possibility the day that I no longer owe anybody any money. Because if like I have, let's say, 100% of my paycheck available to me, and I feel like I gotta, I mean, buy some camera equipment, or I want to travel somewhere, or I don't know, if there's studios around here that assuming things become such that you can even do this anymore, but where I could like rent time and be able to go in there for however long it was, if it was on the hourly rate or the half an hour rate or whatever, and sit there and be able to like just record something in a nice studio where there's soundboards and all that kind of stuff set up, the microphone and all that, figuring all that kind of stuff out, and of course I would have to have something to talk about that was really like relevant, and the kind of stuff that I could talk about that'd be interesting, but would not be kind of putting my channel at at the danger of being completely like just shut down, which again, it seems like it's increasingly difficult to talk about anything these days, which is why I guess I sort of rely on sort of the day in the life of stuff, because it's just it's mostly inoffensive if you're just kind of talking about your day, and your sort of your plans and what you're doing, even though as I can see, most people aren't really interested in that. They want to hear about other things. There's a handful of folks that tune into my channel who are genuinely interested in or concerned about what's going on in my life, and they want to offer up advice, or maybe we're just friends now. You became friends through YouTube, and they're interested in that. They like to hear about that. And then there's the folks who just stop on by because they see Nofap in the title, and they want to see like, okay, what day is this guy on? Has anything changed? It'd be great if like I make it to a year of Nofap, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm a multimillionaire. I got all these all these degrees. I'm making 6 figures a year income. I got a multi-million-dollar net worth, and a 6-pack, and I got like a bunch of the most beautiful women in the world are after me, and I'm thinking of settling down, but I don't know which one to pick. It'd be great if as a guy to be able to treat it like that, like as if I was I did my year of Nofap, and suddenly poof, it created all these great results, and it changed my life so much, and all my problems melted away, and I could say that. I mean, who knows, maybe maybe that would be the video that would cause everything to blow up, take off. But obviously I'm joking, I'm not being serious. I don't know who would really be watching my videos who would take things out of context, but I'm being facetious, I'm being sarcastic, I'm being mildly humorous. But anywho, one thing that did happen like a little bit ago before I was gonna start recording this video, that I'm sitting out here, cop cars going by. We've had a couple of shootings recently, like not in this neighborhood exactly. I think the one that happened here, it was like, I think it was a month or two ago. It might have been more than that. It might have been back in January. Either January or February, I think. Unless it was earlier than that. But we did have one that was like a street over from where I live. A bunch of people got killed. Apparently it was some, gang shootout. And there was like a shooting like, I don't know how many blocks over, behind me. And then another one recently. So I think that's kind of why there are cops out here in the middle of the day. They're just kind of patrolling, because it's like, okay, we got to sort of get out there and enforce and that sort of thing, which it's kind of funny. Like, I've lived here for, what is it, like close to 6 years, coming up on 6 years, and it's like, I knew there were certain hot spots or shady spots where you had to sort of watch out, especially if it was after dark and you're walking through there. And it's like there's spots where, if you're just thinking at tactical sense, that you can say, okay, I can see how someone would set up an ambush here, and I'm not even talking in a military sense necessarily. I just mean like if you're looking at it from a robber's perspective, or a mugger's perspective, like, okay, if a person would just hide behind this tree or be just, kind of off the sidewalk in, this way or this direction or that direction, leading here or there, like, some of these spots, like at night especially, because there's a lot of trees or there's, bushes, or there's different oh, what do you call them, like, not obstacles, but like features to the terrain. People park their cars along the area, or there's like those electronic bike, like you can rent them, like those bike stands. There's like a fence or so in the area, so you can you see that it gets very dark in those areas. So it's definitely spots where like you wouldn't want to walk through, that you want to avoid, those areas. Or if you had to go through, that you'd be like, heightened sensible, or checking, left, right, behind you, in front of you, that sort of thing, being aware of your surroundings. But like recently it's become, more what do you call it, like I become more aware of, or more cognizant of. It's become, clearer to me, like, okay, this area is kind of a shady area to be living in. I mean, I'm right next to this university, but it's sort of like the south side of the city, and it's apparently the area where all that kind of stuff goes down. I remember back when I was in college, undergrad, there was a shooting, like, I think it was about like a year. I think it was about a year into my time living here, year and a half, and there was a shooting like one street over the other direction. And I remember hearing about that. It was just kind of like, you wouldn't, unless you like really knew about this area, like you wouldn't necessarily like expect that. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't look like or feel like that to me, unless there's like a bunch of homeless people around, which once they're in an area, like you get that sort of sense of, okay, this place is kind of run down, and it's kind of sketchy even during the day. But without that, it doesn't seem that sketch. If you don't have the homeless there, you don't have recent shootings that you heard about it, or people who look kind of like they might be in a gang or so. But some that's on my mind, other than the previous stuff I was talking about. But this weekend, I actually did get the stuff done that I put on my scheduler. I wrote down. I do have to get the homework done. It's about 4:30 right now, and it's due at midnight. I looked at the problems. They don't seem that bad, but if it comes down to it, I mean, either A, I'll turn in what I got done, or I might, use solutions, at least to sort of get things done and turned in. But obviously I'd like to avoid that, just because it's not a matter of just like morality or ethics. It's more like a matter of like you don't really learn the material if you're just going and doing that. Even if you're just looking at like your homework grade is gonna buffer my grade or so. But we have the midterm on the 7th next month. And so that gives me, including today, that'd be like 10 days left to prepare, which I think, given that I, started preparing like earlier this last week, I think, especially if I ramp things up a bit, which I've written down my schedule, I want to get, I created problem sets that I want to get done. Assuming I get those done, and then I think the professor's going to be giving us out like a midterm, like a preparation midterm, or a practice midterm, that sort of deal. Assuming I do that, get all these example problems done, I'll basically have done everything that I can think to have done, which is really all that you can do. I mean, it kind of sucks that it's sort of like there is that element of fate in that you could have studied, you could have done all the problems, you could have but then you walk in and for whatever reason you get a bad grade. And for me, as I've gone, class by class, it's almost like each class is sort of like that. It could be that, that chamber on the Russian roulette pistol that, like, you know, does me in, so to speak, does in my academic career. And obviously I'm being metaphorical here. I hate that I have to repeat that sort of stuff, you know, in any of these videos I make, that it's kind of like, hey, might not be able to tell it from the tone of my voice, but I'm not being serious, you know, I'm being metaphorical, like, like, you know, I don't want to have to explain what the red pill or the blue pill or black pill, you know, means. No, we're not talking about literally about taking pills. No, I'm not talking literally about playing Russian roulette. Everything I'm saying right now is metaphorical. But, yeah, I gotta get that homework done tonight, and unless I can really double down and get tomorrow's problem set done tonight, I really will need to make sure that I'm getting enough sleep. And I think I may just stick around at work, like, after, you know, and I'll have to make sure people are aware that I'm not on the clock. I'm not punching in any of these hours if I'm just sitting there, you know, studying. But, you know, honestly, like, I find it easier to study at work than at home. Sometimes because I have my bed here, you know, in my room, I look over that and it's kind of like, oh, I just want to lay down and sleep. But also it's the fact that, like, if you've gone through 7 to 8 hours, you know, let's say 8 hours of work, especially if you didn't get much sleep the night before, and you have to drive home and it's a half an hour to an hour commute, you know, sometimes it's actually been longer than that if the traffic's been backed up, and it ends up being like, 3 hours. This one time it was like 3 hours a night, and I finally got home at, like, I think it was like 8:39 that time. But it was something like that, and you're like dragging yourself into your room, and it's like, oh, and I also have to do this. It's like, you know, the willpower just isn't going to be there, and you have to sort of plan for those times where your willpower isn't that strong, and that can be applied to Nofap as well. You know, you can't always be going and thinking like, well, I'm just gonna, like, you know, go cold turkey and tell myself not to fap, and, you know, every time I get an urge or there's an indication that I might be drifting back towards that, I'll just, you know, I'll will myself out of it. And it's like, you know, best case scenario, yeah, you know, that'll work, but you always gotta plan for those times when your willpower is weak, when you're just too dang tired or frustrated or stressed out, or you're dealing with anxiety or whatever. You gotta plan for that sort of stuff and be like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do, you know, in those kinds of scenarios, such that I get through my days and I don't relapse, or I don't fail to get the assignment done and turned in, or I don't fail to do my preparation for my exam, or I don't fail to do my exercise or stay on my diet or whatever, you know. It's kind of like, I don't want to talk about the diet thing because I'm actually starting off on the diet again. I think this Saturday I'll probably do the actual video where I can sit down and sort of my logistics, because I'm really figuring those things out. But it's kind of like with a diet. Like, why is it that I typically don't store a lot of food in my room? I mean, I had my time where I had, like, what do you call them, like, emergency food supplies, because, way back when the pandemic was in full tilt, it wasn't like, starting to ease up at all. It was like at the worst scenario. And I had some emergency food supplies that I bought. First it was like 2 weeks version, and then one of my coworkers said, oh, they might be locking everything down, probably should double up on that, turn it into a month's worth. But other than that kind of scenario, I typically don't, because I know that if I'm going to try and stick to a diet, I have to plan for those times when my willpower isn't that great. And if I see like a bag of, chips, or, some, I don't know, gummy snacks or cookies, or even like, what else would there be, like, soda, pink lemonade, regular lemonade, any sugary drinks, any sort of will sort of break with or not be allowed on the slow carb diet, let's say, which is the one I'm sticking with or trying to stick with. If I just see that sitting over there, my willpower is weak. I mean, come on, it doesn't take that much to go, oh, I'll just have a few, or I'll try a little bit, or I'm really hungry, I really got those cravings or whatever. And especially when you're early, in the diet, it's sort of like, and it's just going to happen. You'll end up giving in. Same thing with PMO. If you're not filling up your time with productive stuff, if you're not making progress, if you're not cultivating that right mindset, if you're not planning for those times and you're just too tired, too anxious, too stressed out, whatever the case may be, if you don't got a schedule set up such that, during those times when you would have been PMOing, you're actually in bed sleeping, or you're out exercising, you're working on something, you're studying, you're reading, you're out and about, you're working, whatever. There will come a time when your willpower is just way too weak, and you'll end up giving in, and you have to plan for those times. So, that's kind of some of the stuff that's on my mind I'm dealing with right now. Like I said, I'm getting back on my diet, and hopefully by the end of the week, especially if I'm able to go do some grocery shopping, I can probably figure out the rest of the costs of those things and sort of break it down on a day-by-day basis, and doing the math, be able to figure out approximately how much everything's going to cost. And I could probably find some of the costs online, like Walmart.com. Probably find some of those costs and then factor that stuff in. But I'm doing a very bare bones sort of Spartan diet. I already had my meal today, and I have the cashews still left over from that. I only had maybe a handful or two of salted cashews, so most of that stuff's still there. I still got most of the sparkling water, and essentially, if I get any desire to eat or so after that, I will typically just have some of the sparkling water, maybe some of the cashews, but I'm sticking away from those, or staying away from that until probably tomorrow. And I will have to remember in a few hours just to go out and buy tomorrow's meal and have that set up on my desk. If I can get into that sort of routine of making sure I buy the next day's meal, and also buying some food for breakfast, then I think I should be, okay. Because, like I said, one thing that I really need to implement is not only, other than the buying the meal for the next day, the other thing I really need to implement that, one, I think key thing for success would be to make sure I have some food for breakfast, even if it's just something as simple as some slices of roasted turkey or chicken, or some hot dogs or something like that, something low carb, just to sort of stave off the cravings to snack. So if I go into work and it takes me, let's say, from 7 a.m. till about 11:30 or 12, then I'll have my lunch at that point around there, and then it'll be 2.5 to 3 hours, let's say, a little bit over that, actually more like 3.5 hours. Until then, okay, work is over and I can head back home, or I can just go and study or something like that. And I think that if I have that breakfast, then I can probably take whatever I bought for lunch and split it into 2 meals, and then I can even then extend my period of satiation to the extent that by the time I'm ready to go to bed, it's okay, I buy that meal for the next day, and then I can just drop into bed and go to sleep. And we'll see how that affects things. I think that'll be one of the sort of the keys to losing weight, so I'm not sitting there hungry and not end up snacking on just useless calories and stop shoving food in my mouth, and etc., etc. So I think that's it for now. I've gone on way longer than I thought I was going to go on, but anyways, it's day 161 of Nofap. And one thing I saw, the comment by, I can't remember the guy's name, something Red Cloud, I think, about some book that I could read, and I'll add that to my reading list. Once I have some cash freed up, maybe next paycheck I'll buy that, because I'm looking for other books on finance and like money issues and that sort of thing that I can add to my list that I have right now. It's stuff that I've already read, and I can read that in addition to keep on expanding my mindset and my knowledge of finance and investing in money issues and so on. So anyways, thanks for that. And what else? I don't think there's anything else to say. So I will see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Another day in the life of vlog as I work my way through Nofap and through this year. Again through my days of Nofap and life and all that. And take it easy. Take care. Bye-bye.